Hi, this is Christian Ruiz, an application video for RSLA. Um, I'm going to be answering three questions that are for the application. So the first question asks, many career possibilities are available to you. Why do you want to lead others in a school? So I think this question really first relates back to my personal story as it relates to my father and family. My father never really had an opportunity for education, and he is an immigrant from Mexico. And his story has really been one of pride in my studies and my education, which really inspired me to see and know the impact that education can bring. It's the reason I joined Teach for America. It's the reason I joined staff for Teach for America, because I believe in the concept of education for everyone, and not only education, but a high quality education for everyone. And I know that without that background, I wouldn't be where I am, and so it's the reason that it inspires me to continue in the work today, and why I want to lead others in a school. I think there's so much potential to really craft the narrative for individuals and people and students, and I think that's really the focal point from which you can operate from. I also think it fits alongside my skill set and my own development, really via my positions in history. It really allows me to, I think, put a lot of those skills in leading individuals, and really taking a focus on curriculum and a focus on what is the best educational model and how can you then incorporate that into the community you're in. I think that's a really great way for me to really be able to stretch those skills and to do it in such a way that makes me feel as if I'm continuing to grow, but at the same time knowing that I'm being successful and knowing that I have the skills to be successful. So it's another reason that I'm really attracted to the position of leading others in a school. I think I know that it's something that I will ultimately work hard and become better at because I'm so inspired to do so. I also think it really stems from my experience in the classroom. I was one of the only special education teachers in the Rio Grande Valley, and one of the only life skills teachers for Teach for America. And from that perspective, I really saw. So I worked at 9th through 12th at high school with special education, and I really saw the necessity and the needs of a lot of the students in the community and via the school, and how unfortunately the focus was not always towards my population of students, but was really more so geared towards testing, standardized testing in those classes. And so when it came to resources or opportunities, we were unfortunately one of the last classrooms to get resources, so it really taught me how to fight and advocate for my kids from my classroom. And so for that very reason, being in a school where I could then focus on special populations and working with those marginalized groups, that often get ignored, would really allow me to do a lot of good from that position as well. So the second question is, you can develop yourself as a school leader anywhere. Why do you have a particular passion to lead in a rural region? Well, I think I've never really wanted to lead in an urban environment or lead in any other environment other than a rural school. It's always made the most sense to me, just given I know the need and I know the impact that can have. So I know that first and foremost, I know there's a real potential for autonomy, which you can handle and create in a rural region. You have a real opportunity to develop culture at your school, as well as develop it within your community. You can create a positive culture. My experience as a school operations manager at Institute really taught me a lot about how do you develop and infuse and incorporate culture into your school and into your environment to make it a really positive place, fueled by success, and success fuels other success. So I think that in a rural region, you are less prone to as many outside influences that you can really work to develop that culture. In Roma, the school that I taught, population of 10,000, very rural, separated, isolated from a lot of other cities. The school really was that focal point for culture. It was the focal point that created the most jobs. It created the most opportunities for the community, and I think that in various rural regions, you can do the same. A lot of events were focused around the school. A lot of the football games, the entire community came out, or when you had a school function, parents from throughout the community came, and it's a way to like inspire and create what you want. So, for example, in Roma, we really wanted to push literacy, and so we created programs for adults to get their GED, to gain citizenship, to learn English, and a lot of that came because we had an educational focus at the school, and that became kind of the focal point. So I really want to be able to do that in a rural region and in a school. I think also I've seen the hurdles that encompass our rural region, especially, and as I said earlier, for people with whom resources are the most important, who don't always receive it, special populations. You needed various opportunities from post-secondary options for students with disabilities, or something to continue jobs that a lot of the individuals could do, or programs which allowed them to live independently, which didn't exist. The nearest option, there were two options really specifically where I was at, and one of them was one that we and a group of people created about 30 minutes away, and then past that was an hour and a half, hour and 20 to get to any other options, and even then it was still an isolated region, so not many of those opportunities existed. And so I think we often reference rural regions in terms of bringing opportunities such as jobs or college, without realizing that there's also people who might not have the potentiality to leave. And so how do we then bring those resources to our community and really create a community that is an attractive option for businesses, or for options for our students. So I think that being one of the hurdles, as well as educational opportunities, is something that I really want to work to bring to a community. And being in a rural school, I think it's going to really take a partnership between the school and community leaders and politically elected leaders as well. So that really is one of the reasons I'm very much interested in teaching in a rural region. And I kind of said this earlier too, really being able to shape a community around education. I think there's so many options to do that and so many opportunities, and that's another reason, as well as, and perhaps one that's maybe a bit more selfish, is I enjoy rural regions. I enjoy the rural aspect of life. To be honest, big cities or anything like that have always kind of intimidated me to the point that I don't really enjoy them. So it's always made sense for me to be in a rural region, and so with my cohesion of education, my experience and passion for education, with my also and as a desire to be in a rural region, really inspires me to, of course, work in a rural region in a school somewhere. So that's I think in part because of my personality as well. And then the last question asks, if I could talk to your current principal, the janitor at your school, a colleague in your department, and a student's parent/family, and ask them to describe you in one word, what would these words be and why? How accurate do you think these words are? If they're not accurate, what do you think would cause a person to choose that word? I chose three individuals in particular. I can continue to speak more, but these are the three I wanted to, I think, were a reference to the question. But the first was the custodian. So I taught in Roma last year, before I joined Teacher America staff. The custodian would probably describe me as friendly. Very people-oriented. It's been my passion for so long. It's the reason I like to talk to anybody and everybody, and everybody has a story, and I've always deeply respected everyone's story, and as it relates to their work that they do. And so, and that is anybody, and so a lot of times I was working late. The custodian and I would have many conversations in Spanish, and I think that they would probably describe me as friendly and somebody who goes out of their way to say hi to people and make sure people feel respected, make sure they feel special. I think if you were to ask the principal at my school, they would probably call me ambitious. I took on a lot of opportunities and took on a lot of new things, especially for my students as an advocate. We were able to create a curriculum around traveling throughout the community with our students and visiting various locations and really giving them some skills to develop themselves. Whether it was going to the post office, learning how to mail a letter, or was going to a job agency in order to fill out job applications, or to the various post-secondary options that I described earlier, and how to access those, and a lot of trainings for parents as well, and a lot of these things that, doing home visits or things like that others didn't really do, and I think that they would describe me as ambitious and wanting to take on more and maybe a little brave. I think that I tried to do a lot of things that were out of the box, and especially in a rural region where I think you need to be creative. You need to know how to access and create opportunities. So that was probably what they would describe me as. I think my manager now for Teach for America would really describe me as people-oriented. I'm somebody who cares deeply about how people are doing and how they're doing in relationship to their work or their personal lives, and so I'm always asking those questions, and it's part of the reason I do the work that I do, and it's because of the people and the aspect of it. And so those are three various words that would describe me. I think that that we had to, for an activity, we did a chart of ourselves, and people had to just use words to describe us, and those are a lot of the words that were used to describe me. Was around people and caring, empathetic. It's it's almost counterintuitive to say, but like humble. I'm so darn humble. This is just funny, but yeah, I think those are really some of the words and the spectrum of which people would describe me. I would say they're accurate. I think I've come to a place in my life where I've come to understand my strengths, and I've come to understand those things that really make me who I am, and I think those are definitely it. Yeah, and so this is I'm going to end the video with saying that I'm really excited for the opportunity to be able to pursue this. I'm working to bring others to apply to the position and the opportunity, and if you have any other questions, please feel free to contact me, and I look forward to your response. Thanks, and I hope you have a great day, evening, and wherever you are. Thanks so much. Bye.